brief sacred poem to help us gather again. And this is from Hafiz, who is a Sufi master in the Middle Ages in Persia. And if you're not familiar with the Sufi tradition, it's kind of the Pentecostals of Islam. It resonates with them on many levels. Hafiz and Rumi had nothing on my grandmother as far as dancing, I promise you that. Here's the words from Hafiz. Love wants to reach out and manhandle us. Break all our teacup talk of God. If you had the courage and could give the beloved his choice, some nights he would just drag you around the room by the hair, ripping from your grip all those toys in the world that bring you no joy. Love sometimes gets tired of speaking sweetly and wants to rip to shreds all your erroneous notions of truth that make you fight with yourself, dear one, and with others, causing the world to weep on too many fine days. God wants to manhandle us, lock us inside of a tiny room with himself, and practice his drop kick. The beloved sometimes wants to do us a great favor, hold us upside down, and shake all the nonsense out. But when we hear he is in such a playful, drunken mood, most everyone I know quickly packs their bags and hightails it out of town. The theme of this conference, the art of resurrection, is not one that I chose. It was, I guess, selected by the team that put the conference together. I like it. When you think of the idea of resurrection, it infers and is obvious that something has died, something has declined, something has been wounded or damaged or broken. And so therefore, we need a resurrection. We need a new birth. We need to be born again. What I want to do for the next few minutes is just to throw out some things. It's kind of a litany of sorrows, and I hope it will not press you too much. But some things that we've all inherited or that we have to live with that have wounded our souls, or reduced our souls. St. Thomas Aquinas used the term pusillanimity, and the way he kind of defined that is that it's a puny souledness, that our souls become puny. St. Hildegard of Bingen talked a lot about the drying up of the soul. And it's quite interesting, that was her definition of sin. You hear a lot of different definitions of sin, but hers is the drying up, and sometimes she would use the term the shriveling of the soul. I always, when I think of that, I think like a raisin, that starts to contract and shrivel up. This litany that I'm going to share are things that steal us from, take heart away from us. Things that reduce our souls, dry up our souls. And the disclaimer that I mentioned earlier, please give me the dispensation not to have to defend and say, I know there's another side to this, so there's good things we can talk about, but we're not going to be here all the time. One of the things that I think has caused a wound to our soul is the invention of the printing press. We became very text-oriented rather than experience-oriented. We turned the word "word" into the word "text." The word became a book rather than a person. When we marry the printing press with the Greek mindset, the word "word" becomes logos rather than more of a Hebrew understanding of dabar. And dabar is the creative energy that fills the universe. In the beginning was the dabar, and the dabar was God, and the dabar was with God, and the dabar came among us and dwelled with us. The creative energy of God. It's been reduced to text. Well, I consider myself a Protestant. The Protestant reformers, in my opinion, have wounded our souls. Their low view of creation, their low view of the material universe and the body, their infatuation with guilt, and I'm sure your soul just leaps with joy when you hear the term, the total depravity. Faith, which in more of a Hebrew, older understanding, that was a trust of the dabar that moves in and with everything, is now redefined to be mental assent. Moved up into the top of the body to mentally ascend to a set of doctrine or dogma or codes or text. John Calvin, the great reformer, actually said, just if we were made of the stuff of the stars of heaven, then we would have a little dignity. But we're not. We were made from dirt. Now, do I have to unpack and just tell you how much is totally wrong with us? Okay, first of all, is science, is cosmology wrong? Because guess what we hold in our bodies? We are made of the same stuff of the stars. And what the hell is wrong with dirt? I think so not only is his theology bad in that statement, but his science and cosmology is bad. And it contracts the soul rather than call us to soul. The Industrial Revolution. We stopped making things. We stopped creating things. We became machines in an assembly line. Ka-ching. 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 Living robots. Newton and his non-organic science, his mechanistic view of the universe that took our understanding of a universe that's filled with a davar, and it becomes a cold machine. Talking about the wounding of our soul. Descartes gives us what we might call the death of the soul. Usually, if you're reading Descartes, you can see that he believes that the soul does not exist. But if, he leaves a little out, that if there is a soul in the human experience, it's associated with the pituitary gland, which is about the size of, listen, it's about the size of a pea. Do you understand the reduction of our souls? The death of our souls. Our economics for years and years has been shaped by what is called the Industrial Growth Society. And this is important on a lot of fronts. But this economic model is totally based on growth. A stock market that always moves ahead. A gross national product that always increases. Now, it's not hard to understand that this model is eventually going to break down if it's not already broken down, because we live on an island home that has finite resources. So you get to the end eventually, right? But this idea of growth and increase, where we become more and more about quantity rather than quality. And quantity does not nurture and expand the soul. It becomes just another type of assembly line. And sorry, Bishop, but sometimes I hate going to clergy conference.
So do I.
You know the questions. So how many did you have? Is there things going on? And it almost innately gets built into the institution that pressure to buy into the industrial growth society model, which does not nurture the soul. The industrial growth society devalues play and rest. Because play and rest are not understood to be productive. I tell my church all the time, I want y'all to be proud of me because I rest really well. And I play really hard. But, you know, how often does anybody come and say, she's the best sleeper I know?